Hello, I'm Adrien Brody. I play Levesque in the Apple TV original film, Ghosted. It's a fun character. I think there's an opportunity to balance a degree of menace and pretty overt comedy. As you can tell by his name, he's French. And I've kind of leaned into a bit of that. I think there are parallels to Sadie's character, whereas they're both trying to determine what's next and can they live a life of sacrifice. Well, Chris is very much involved as a producer as well. He's very hands-on, and I think I'm just really impressed in how thoughtful he is on analyzing what the overall thing is that we're here doing. He's got a real, a good eye for things, so it's reassuring, to have someone that is, has a sense of confidence and knows what's going to work, and not just for him or his character, but overall. I understand what, he must be up against to, shed making things look effortless and all these other aspects. But I feel like what I see in his work is he's brought a real great comedic timing element to it that's really wonderful as well. So I'm kind of keyed into seeing that and what he's doing, and so he's grounded, but I think he's doing a wonderful job. But I love how he's infused this comedy with a guy completely, a fish out of water, completely like out of his element, and, totally enamored with this girl and chasing her around while she's assassinating people. And it's a fun thing for him to play with, but I've been enjoying what I'm seeing. Anna's amazing. Anna has the ability to just get in a zone and become something else, and she's there. She's got this thing down, and it's so different from what I've seen her do, and she just plays a very decisive person who is not flustered by anything. It's amazing. I can't wait to see the film, but I'm still in it. I love what I do, and I love being a part of this, and I love the collaborative spirit, and I don't really look forward to the end of a movie. It's sometimes when you're working really hard, you need a break, but this has been something that I enjoy very much, showing up to work. Oh, I definitely think there's a very broad audience for a film like this. I think, the entertainment factor is high, and very accessible. It's a love story. It's a romance, action, comedy. It's very easy to. Anna de Armas, you have Chris Evans. What's not to like? Sadie, she's a force to be reckoned with, and that's established throughout. So I don't see. He's just constantly up against it throughout this whole thing. Like, his people are getting taken out, and he can't understand why, there's so much incompetence against this, who is this tax man, who is this, thorn in his side. But, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Hi, I'm Ana de Armas, and I play Sadie in the Apple original film, Ghosted. Well, I think what got me excited was all of that. It was a combination of action, lots of humor. I thought it was a pretty originally funny, kind of like out-of-the-box story, but it also reminded me of like the old adventure action films that I used to watch growing up. Also working again with Chris. Of course, I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to get together again, but in completely different roles. And Dexter, I thought he was a very, very talented director who I really wanted to have the opportunity to collaborate with. I really loved his previous works. And from the moment I talked to him and his energy and the way he is, I just knew it was going to be a fun experience. I had never seen Chris playing a part like this. I think for him, you know, being the clumsy, you know, stepping in the wrong places and falling and fumbling around it, you know, just being so unprepared and out of his comfort zone, and it was very funny to watch. So Sadie is supposed to be the best of the best at the CIA. She's the agent, you know, that everyone would send to the most dangerous, you know, difficult mission that the agency would have. She is the taxman, you know, and she's been in countless missions, and she's dedicated her life and everything to this. She wanted to be the best. She's worked so hard in exceeding at everything she does. And her reputation and her career is what matters the most to her. And she's really good at all of that, but she's not very good at letting people in. We meet Sadie in the movie, and then it's at the very beginning when she also meets Cole. She's going through kind of like a hard time, kind of like a existential crisis in a way, because everything that she's worked for so hard, she's kind of like questioning if this is really the life she wants, and if this is going to be it. Is this all? You know, it's kind of like that state of mind that she's in. So, you know, she's just at a farmer's market, minding her own business, trying to, you know, stay off the grid after a mission she just finished, and she's not feeling very great. And she meets Cole, and Cole, it's a really bad meeting. They start off really badly. And it's just these two people that you see that there's something in there, but so off. There's no way these two people would ever connect. They're completely from different worlds. They don't speak the same language. But at the same time, somehow he manages to get her out for a coffee and go for a walk. And you can see her kind of like intrigued by this guy who seems to her to be so small-minded and like from this little town, who's never left the country, has no idea about anything in the world. But there's something about him that she's never seen before. And there's something that she's really curious about. There's something that softens her in the inside. And things go well on that first date. She kind of disappears, but not for the reasons he thinks. So he obviously thinks she ghosted him, but really she's just working. She's on another mission that she had to go to. What she could never anticipate is that, first of all, that he was so needy, and that he would be, you know, so impatient and so cheesy, and crazy to go after her, and then he screws everything up. I think Chris is very talented, and he is just genuinely funny, and I loved going back to set with him because in Gray Man we really don't have anything together, just barely one scene. But in Knives Out, where we met, we both play completely different characters. So it was kind of like fun, and I was really looking forward to this new dynamic between us. And Chris is really hardworking. he's laser focused. He just asks a lot of questions, and he just gets very into it, and he likes to talk about the scene and deconstructing the scene and understanding where the camera is going to be, what the action is going to be, what we actually need, so we don't overshoot things, or he likes to know what we're doing, and I learned a lot from him. This set for me was full of joy. I had such an incredible time, and I think that started with our director, Dexter, because he is like that. He's so happy, problem solver, never complains. He's so excited, so grateful for the opportunity, so grateful to have us on set. He is also an actor. He understands what we go through and how hard it is to do things and to make things work and make it feel authentic and feel comfortable. It was just so amazing. I think this movie, it's you'll see we have like big action scenes and it's very fast-paced and entertaining and fun and all of that, but I think underneath all of that, the story, it's very relatable, very modern, it's very charming. It has the movie has a big heart, and I think that's what people is going to find the connection with. It could have been just a completely different setup, and it still be touching and it still be relevant. But I think it just happens to be in these incredible locations and set pieces and full of action.
Hi, I'm Chris Evans, and I play Cole in the Apple original film Ghosted. It was originally a pitch to me by a couple of writers, Reese and Wernick, and they're wonderful writers, very funny men, and it was just a great concept, just kind of a really tight comedy romance that I don't see very often, that I grew up on, movies like Romancing the Stone, and so I said, yeah, I'm in, and they came up with the script, and then we went and found Dexter, and then Anna, and then we all just kind of got our hands on the script and made a bunch of changes along the way, and yeah, it's just been a really, really fun collaborative process where everyone has kind of given their 2 cents, and I'm really proud with what we came out with. I think the most important thing is believing that Cole and Sadie, if put in another world, really would be deeply in love with one another. It begins with these two people just kind of seeing each other and having this kind of electric moment and wonderful first date, and really being drawn to each other for different reasons, but it being something more than just a meet cute. It's something special, and I think the more you believe in that connection, the more you root for them as a couple, the funnier it is when the circumstance kind of makes them turn on each other a little bit and become somewhat adversarial throughout the movie. Broad strokes are that they meet at a farmer's market, and they have this really wonderful 24-hour date. The type of thing that you run home and you tell your friends and family, and you say, "Oh my God, I met the woman of my dreams. I can't even believe it." And then Cole anticipates that it will continue, and he's texting Sadie, and he gets no response. And Cole kind of doesn't read the room, and he keeps texting and assumes he must have been ghosted. Or that's what his sister tells him, and he refuses to believe that, and finds out that she's in London, and thinks that the big sweeping romantic gesture would be show up and surprise her. A very misguided decision, but he does show up, and unfortunately gets mistaken for Sadie, and Sadie happens to be on this super spy mission, and Cole gets kidnapped, and then Sadie kind of is burdened with him throughout the movie. He has this really close dynamic with his family, and they know him so well, so instead of having to show the audience exactly who Cole is, you have other characters around him kind of declaring who he is and filling in those blanks and really providing a lot of needed backstory with a little bit of with minimal page count. And again, it just kind of shows the domestic kind of very safe environment that Cole has kind of insulated himself in. You know, that Cole doesn't take risks, and he doesn't really push himself much and hasn't for some time. So the idea of going to London, just getting on a plane and going overseas is a huge deal to him. So the fact that he gets caught up in this world of spies and espionage is you know, a lot more than he can handle. Well, it's the first time Anna and I have been able to play love interests. You know, in Knives Out, we're obviously adversarial, and Gray Man, same thing. This is the first time we actually are interested in one another as characters, and we still get the opportunity to argue and be combative. So it's this kind of nice blend, and Anna is so effortlessly cool and composed, and you know, she's just one of those actresses that when you're watching, you lean in and you're interested, and she can handle comedy and drama and action so effortlessly that I've yet to see something she can't do. So we were really lucky to have her, and makes my job a lot easier, because if she's interested in me, if Sadie's interested in Cole, the audience will be. You know, so her being the captivating force that she is makes my job a lot easier. I can't say enough about Adrien. I mean, obviously, he's Adrien Brody. He's one of the best actors working, but he has so much fun with this character. He's obviously a gifted dramatic actor, but oftentimes those really good dramatic actors are pretty good at comedy too, and Adrien's no exception. He's so funny because it's still so real, even when he's playing a big character, even when he's kind of going a little over the top, which is what he does with Levesque. It's still rooted in something really authentic and grounded, and I think movies like this, if you don't have a good villain, I don't know if the kind of tripod stands. So we were really lucky to get him, and he manages to be a dangerous, menacing threat while still being pretty funny.
Hello, my name is Dalia, Ibelhauptaite. I am co-producer on Apple TV Plus original film Ghosted. This is the first film where Dexter and me working together as a team, officially from A to Z. Because up to then, all the work we did, since I had my other career and day job being opera director and producer, I couldn't participate so much in his film work. But after The Rocket Man, we made decision that we will stick together. I'll give up my day job and I come and be part of his team. So we started to talk about Ghosted about 1 year ago, very early on, when he started conversations with Sky Downs and Chris Evans about the project. And it was very exciting because it gave possibilities for Dexter to do big action film and to challenge himself. And I was very excited and very glad to be part of that journey. Dexter has the attitude that you cannot make the first impression second time. You have to make first impression first time. And he knows very well that the world will be watching for his action sequences, that they have to be the most exciting, they have to be most challenging, most unusual, and he's done about 4 times better than my expectation. But that's the great thing. When you work with somebody, you spend 27 years of living together. You don't lie. Chris comes across as very smart actor who very deeply researches everything, very deeply thinks the whole thing through, who maps out his journey and his journey in the context. So it's a person who turns up every day, but what you see on a day is 10% iceberg, but the work he's done is at the 90% of the iceberg, which goes like deep, 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 which he started ages ago. He's not the person who just shows up, whatever. It's a very talented team of people. I would say that the beauty of the project is how different is Anna de Armas and Chris Evans in that the way that she is a very intuitive person. She is very, she changes much more, reflects what's outside, what is inside the relationship. So it's beautiful how they play off each other. I think it's one of the most exciting new movie couple partnerships which the world will see, and I hope it will carry on for a very long time, pass beyond this film, because opposites attract. That's what's amazing, that they are very different and very interesting to watch. And then, of course, it was very exciting casting to be part of that, because each actor on this project is like diamond. They are wonderful, very talented people, very talented actors, very, again, maybe not always you meet in pure action films that kind of actor. So it's great, like Adrien, Brody, Tim Blake Nelson, Tate Donovan. It was wonderful. So create the world, create actors, and be part of all this journey. It was wonderful. First of all, we're thinking about humanity and about the heart, about the soul and energy of those people, because it's very important to select people who have different energies. That's when they play the best, you know, when you get contrast, when you get light and darkness, when you get fast and slow, when you get different skills. Come together. And the same is with creative team. Dexter chosen amazing teams of designers like Claude Paré is wonderful artist, Marlene Stewart costumes, wonderful artist, Claude is set designer, and that I got very close to those people because part of, again, my training is in art. From very early age, I studied composition of paintings, on photographs, studied paintings, so on. So that is part of what I do as well. I advise Dexter and help him to make those choices of compositions, of art, of sets, costumes, and so on. And then, of course, it was great to meet Jules, Daly, producer. It's wonderful to work with women producer. It's wonderful to see different approaches to the producing and to the projects. Me being woman as well, it was very great, to see how people do it. And so that was the very beginning. I believe in one very important thing, that on a big project like that, everybody has to play their best part, what they know the best. So you need to know what is your skills and what you offer in that field. And it was wonderful to work with the designers. It's so, for Dexter it's very important not to dress people, but to create the characters so that their costumes tell their life story and tell who they are. And in Marlene Stewart, he found a great partner in that. And with Claude, again, what's very important for Dexter, to find authentic looks of restaurant, of market, of caves, of the world, of the bus, we think, bus is bus. But bus in Afghanistan and Pakistan is very different bus from what we know. And it went massive research for this film into everything, into sets, costumes, props, characters, huge research. So every single thing people will see, audience will see, it's yes, it's flight of fantasy, but it's not taken from the thin air. Everything is taken from research and reality, real world. So it has the heart and energy of real world. My biggest sequence I will be the most proud, well, I hope to be most proud, is we call it Middle Eastern Market. This was the sequence which had 350 extras of Middle Eastern origin, which is quite hard to find, to be very authentic. We researched and planned that scene for 4 months because each person has different character. Each person has different costume. Most of those costumes are authentic. And even the ones which are made, they are made on the basis of authentic. And every single makeup and hair is chosen from authentic photos of Middle East life, from the books and so on. So that was the hardest sequence to do. I learned one thing about action films and big action. It's like choreography of dance. I know it because it's opera, so dance, ballet, and here is choreography of the moves, the action. So it's the same. And it was wonderful to create visual choreography of the market, of the movement of people, of that, and show the faces. And I think that is going to be a really exciting world. We will be introducing all the Western world audience to something they may not be went and experienced themselves. So I think that this movie will have a very wide audience. And maybe my hope is that this movie will be seen by people who not normally go to see action movies. And that is great because I'll be new group of people. And also I hope that people who always see action movies, they will be able to see some details which will give them different things.
My name's Dexter Fletcher. I'm the director of the Apple original film Ghosted. You know, sort of like the Harry met Sally kind of meeting, you know, when you see these two people meet for the first time, they are each other's equals in a lot of respects, and but they've both got big journeys to make, and this is the start of those journeys, and so yeah, I really want to play into setting up the audience and our cast to go, okay, we're in a romantic comedy, these two do get along but they don't get along, there's obviously chemistry and there's a whole world building around them, and hopefully we can feel like we're in fairly familiar territory where we go, okay, these two like each other, something's going to happen to get in the way of that. What we've gone for is the biggest thing we can imagine getting in the way of that he gets kidnapped and she's a spy and she has to rescue him, and he's completely ill-equipped to deal with the situation he finds himself in. But all at the same time finding himself falling more and more in love with this woman who is extraordinary in every way and is very much trained to not have relationships. You know, that's her whole thing as a CIA operative is, you know, the less emotional baggage you carry, the more effective you are at your job. And Anna is obviously quite brilliant at that, as is Chris at being vulnerable and a klutz. I mean, he's a complete klutz. What it means to be ghosted. You meet someone, you like them, they like you, you have a great night together, a date, a great time, you swap numbers, and then you never hear from them again. You are ghosted. Maybe the relationship is even going down a certain way and you think, oh, this is going really well, and then you're sending texts and the person either changes their number or just decides never to contact you back again. I think that's really what it means to be ghosted. What I understood when I read the script, that Chris was making a very deliberate choice to create a character and find a character that was not physically capable, but wasn't a badass. You know, he wasn't ready at any given moment guy to jump into a fight and win the fight. You know, that is what those defining characters have been for him, which is great. You know, and that's why we love them, because we know he's going to find a way to win out. Whereas what we've created and what he's created here is someone who is completely unprepared in this arena, in this world. We've seen him in this world and he's brilliantly capable. And a lot of the fun, a lot of the humour and a lot of the journey that he goes on is some guy just figuring it out and not being capable and saying, I am not a super spy, I am a farmer. And that is really his whole thing. What really it does brilliantly is it humanises him, but it also, I believe, gives us a character that we can relate to. Anna, contrasting to that, is extremely aware of the taxman character that she created. We talked about that a lot, and this taxman character is a very high achiever, very deadly, serious, capable CIA agent who has been working on a particular mission for quite a while and been extremely effective in it, and is very close to achieving her goal of retrieving something from someone who's a maniac, something that is very deadly. So she's very serious, very focused, very unemotional, very clear about what her objectives are. And thrown into the middle of this mission that she is very capably trying to navigate and handle is someone who makes her feel stuff, someone who engages all these emotions that she's been trying to contain and control for all these years. And of course, that in itself, for us, we found very funny, because where this character is normally contained and very spy, and she suddenly has someone who just makes her angry. And of course, that in this given situation is not always the best emotional state to be in, to handle deadly situations. Hence why CIA agents and operatives are trained to be unemotional. So that is a lot of the fun of what we've got going on here, and what Anna creates there is someone who is now completely at odds with her work.
Hi, I'm Jules Daly. I'm producer of the Apple TV Plus original film Ghosted. I did a movie with Skydance, with the team at Skydance, David Ellison and Dana Goldberg and Don Granger, and they called during the pandemic and they said, we have something else we want you to read, that we'd like you to come in and produce. And I read it during the pandemic, which was great, and looked forward to getting out of that and coming out to do a big movie. And so I think I read it in probably August of last year, so that was 2021. Yeah, was it? And came here to Atlanta in October, and have been here ever since. So what grabbed me about the film, I think the fun of it really harks back to the Romancing the Stone type of, fun, romantic comedy, action movies of when I was growing up. And I don't think we've seen it in a while, that it kind of gives you everything from the fun between the couple, between the two of them, between Cole and Sadie, definitely the action and the adventure of it all. It was just such a fun read, and I thought the perfect thing to move into after the pandemic. And it's charming, it's sexy, it's fun, it's got the action. Immediately when I read it, I saw all the opportunities for all the other great characters that could be in it as well to complement them. And just kind of the ease of it, and like, who wouldn't want to watch this movie? Immediately when you meet Dexter Fletcher, like, I want to hang out with this guy. I think I put a picture on my Instagram when I first met him as like, if you can find someone who makes you smile, go make a movie with them. And he's just got the greatest sense of humor. He makes the actors completely comfortable around him. Immediately his casting choices, like right off the top of his head, were original and fun and bold. And, knowing that he'd have an incredible, or hopefully, which has turned out to be the case, a great relationship with actors because he is an actor himself. And that's definitely such a strong side of Dexter Fletcher, is how he relates to the actors and makes them feel comfortable. It just feels like it's like his safe place, you know, being on set, being on the floor, being, you know, he's made 50 plus movies. And it just, he feels like you feel like you're in Dexter's living room when you're making a movie with him. The minute it kicked off with Adrien, I knew it was going to be fun. Like, I knew that we were going to be able to keep elevating each role. And what we found was almost every single actor that we went to, regardless of their first conversation with Dexter, they wanted to work with him. I think they too have that respect for the fact that he comes from being an actor, transitioned to being a director. There was an ease that happened on the phone, on their first phone calls. I think we literally almost probably got 95% of the first actor, unless there was an availability issue. Everyone wanted to do the movie with him. So it's been one of my easier casting experiences with Dexter, and it just like it kept rolling and rolling and getting more fun. And you know, sometimes it was a friend of his, like Tate, Donovan, then Amy Sedaris, who he wasn't as familiar with, but then when he went, you know, did the research around Amy, he's like, oh, she's perfect, and because that was kind of a newer person for him. And then finding Lizze Broadway was a revelation, or she's a revelation, and Tim Blake Nelson. It just like every time we spoke to the team at Apple about who was coming on board, they were just like blown away by it. Just kept getting more fun and more diverse each time. Marwan was, you know, a dream. I knew the term mostly from my nieces and nephews, and I really had to. I don't think I've ever been ghosted, thank goodness, but I think it's probably a newer term, right, in our world, and so kind of sits well in terms of the Apple world, because it is really something that happens on, you literally are just wiped off the face of the earth of that person's phone or social media or whatever, however you were connecting with this person, it's the hardest drop you've ever probably felt, right? And I think anybody who it happened to would be like, it just spins your head out. Like, what did I say? What did I do? How could I have done this? How is this me? Is it them? Anna and Chris are pretty magical together. One of them said to me, I think Chris said the other day, and he said, we're kind of like Bogey and Bacall. Like, they've done a couple movies together, and it feels like harking back to the other time of making movies where people would work together often in their careers, and I don't think we see that often enough. They both want to make many more movies together and find different genre of movies it feels to do together. So I think a lot of it will be like, oh, they're together again. Like, what are we going to see them do? And see them do something hopefully very different together in this movie. So I think people will be looking forward to it. I think that Chris is about to have a whole new career after his whole Marvel career, right? Which he's, so grateful for and loved every moment of it. And now it's going to be great to watch what he chooses, which can be almost anything if you're Chris Evans, right? To do moving forward. So I think we're all pretty honored that, he brought this movie to Skydance and to Apple, and he's been a big part of making the movie and so behind it in every way, and such a great, actually, partner as a producer. So I think for the people that know that, that's like a different level of Chris Evans that is great to see. Anna's an executive producer on the movie as well. So they're really invested in the movie in every way. You feel it every day when we shoot. And so I think mostly it's about sharing that relationship that is a new relationship that an audience hasn't seen, to see that come alive. And as I said earlier, like turning the rom-com thing on its head and making it just be, a complete different wild ride and adventure than one maybe would expect when you start to watch the movie.
I'm Lizze Broadway, and I play Maddie Turner. So pretty much I just sent in a self-tape, and I did something very unique, and Dexter was like, hey, you want to be in this? I can't do his accent, I'm very bad at it. And I was like, hell yeah, with Chris Evans and then Armas, Adrien Brody. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into it. She is the second child, so obviously she feels invisible. She feels like she's adopted, and she's the only self-aware person in this family, which is so sad if you get to see the other family. It's like, are they real? And she's the only self-aware person in this whole thing. He's lovely, he's charming. I'm like, oh. And he also is not too hard on the eyes, so it's like, okay. Amy is so funny. You'll probably see some bloopers, and she is just a joy. And she is a firecracker, and she just so many ad-libs and just like one-liners that you're like, how do you come up with this stuff? And then Tate is just like a dad. He is so charming, so lovely, and giving me advice, and just, it really does feel like a whole family. So I'm like very grateful to be a part of this. I think she's brilliant. I think she's smart. I think she brings out a new side of Cole that I've never seen before. He's much more grounded and more of himself authentically. So it's really nice to see as like a sister to a brother that you've grown up with. So that's kind of, she's everything I would want for him. Oh my gosh, she's great. She's so grounded. I feel like most of the time I just want to talk about life with her and have like some tea under the full moon. She's like one of those people that you're just like, oh, you're so warm, and I just want to be next to you and just, I don't know, be. She lets you just be yourself. Oh my God, it was a blast. Oh my God. So this is a kind of movie that you can watch over and over and over again, because some movies you can watch, they're beautiful, right? They're beautiful stories, but you can only watch once. This is like, you can watch it with your family. You can watch it by yourself when you're sad and depressed and lonely, and it'll just make you feel good. This is a blast. This is a dream to work with such great people, and you know, to do a story that are just gonna warm the hearts of others, you know? I think it's one of those movies, so to be part of just like a fun adventure, love, like laugh out loud, it's gonna be fun. I heard some like there's really cool cameos in it. So I heard that, I was like, oh, I don't get to meet them, unfortunately, but it seems really, yeah, I just want people to feel good.
Hey, what's up? My name is Mike Moe. I play Wagner on the Apple TV Plus original film, Ghosted. January, I'm on the beach. I'm vacationing with my family, 3